Sorcerers! Josh here. And bad news. Some places are going to have their Arthurian Legends boxes delayed. I can't say that I'm not surprised. Eric's Curiosa is a small company. They can't control boats, planes, the weather, customs. So because of that, being a small company, the logistics are much more difficult for them to manage. I also can't say that I'm not disappointed. I was really hopeful that Eric's Curiosa had learned a lot from the beta release, the second wave beta, and all of that process. It does seem like it's better, but technically, the second wave of beta to Europe still hasn't shown up. Now, the good news on that little tidbit is that apparently that boat's going to arrive in port around October the 6th. So that's good, and it's about time. Again, Eric's Curiosa cannot control what a boat does. And hopefully Customs doesn't decide to hold it up for another 2 months. We will see. But back in relation to Arthurian Legends, it's a real mixed bag. We know that the Nordic countries, because of their distributor, are probably delayed at least 2 weeks. We know that Australia is officially delayed a week as well, although that was more of a placeholder, so maybe it's not going to be a week, but sounds like a week. There's also weird issues with the store kits, the play mats, the draft kits, all those things. We did get the new draft store, or the new Eric's Curiosa store, which is great, and you can go buy the draft kits, and there's a limit of 4. So that's good that we can go out and buy those draft kits. And I already got some for me because I'm going to hopefully be running a draft soon at a local store. Very excited about that. But for whatever reason, the stores in the US are not getting their store kits before the release. So they can't use it for their release parties for Arthurian Legends. Which also means they won't have the draft kits. And the only way for them to get the draft kits is if they happen to have some individual such as myself or one of the many other wonderful people in our community who are trying to build the competitive side of the game, or even just the tabletop, just playing it in a store somewhere, playing it somewhere with friends. You know, if they don't have someone like that who went out on that store and bought their 4, or, you know, the store may not even be aware that they can go buy those 4 and get them. You know, I don't know that all these small stores are really following the Discord or necessarily following these announcements, and I'm afraid they're going to miss out. So, you know, make sure you're making your store aware and letting them know they can go buy those 4 kits and get them to hopefully support a small event. And maybe, you know, the store can have their employees buy a couple of those too, have those shipped, and then they'll have, you know, 20 of those kits or something. If you happen to be so fortunate that you can support 20 kits would support 80 players. If you're that lucky, great. But, you know, hopefully, you know, a store with 2 or 3 employees could get, you know, 8 kits, 12 kits, whatever, and then have a tournament and could support it. And because they got a few extra kits, they can support continued limited events for a while until the whole store kit issue can get resolved and they can order store kits directly from, I think they said they're going to order them directly from distribution. That would be great. Apparently, the store kits are going to be delivered on time in the UK, Asia, and most of Europe. Again, not the Nordic countries. So, and as far as I can tell, I don't think anyone knows what's happening with that beautiful new playmat that we're supposed to be getting. I don't know that anyone has it, is planning on getting it. In the US, the box situation still seems to be very odd. A lot of store owners are still posting in the Discord, hey, my distributor hasn't verified I'm getting my boxes or what amount I'm getting. Although finally I did talk to one store owner who said finally this morning, they were told by their regional distributor that we don't have the boxes yet, but we have the tracking number and they're going to be here on time and we are going to get them to you by release date. Talk about cutting it close. But maybe it'll happen, if it's like a regional distribution hub, okay, and the store's located close to its proximity, all right. But boy, they're going to cut it real close. Now, that could be because Ars Curiosa desires, very much so, to minimize the spoilers, to let people experience opening the product and, being surprised. So that's one way to do that, is really cut that razor's edge. So maybe this is by design, but boy, I think I'd really rethink that design a little bit come set 3. But that's just me. This is another learning experience. That being said, those Nordic countries, Australia, they're going to be sitting by while many of us, hopefully in the US, Europe, and Asia, are opening our boxes and experiencing Arthurian Legends. And that sucks for them. And I hate that. Because even though I don't know those people, I've never met those people, I want them to have the same great experience that I hope I'm going to have when my boxes arrive by October the 4th. So that does feel bad. And obviously avoiding social media, especially for the Nordic countries, for 2 weeks or more, that's just not possible in modern society. It's unless you just don't check anything about Sorcery, which, because it's so small, maybe you could do that. But, with the way social media works, it's always throwing stuff in your face about the things you like. I just don't know that you're going to be able to avoid it. And that sucks. And that's why I'm disappointed. I just really hoped that Ars Curiosa would truly knock this one out of the park and everything would be perfect. And I know that expectation is very high. But given the issues we've seen, I was really hoping with this one that we would have a clean release. Now, overall, if we end up with everyone getting their product except the Nordic countries and Australia, and I mean in terms of boxes, because obviously the playmats, we don't know. Store kits, some places are getting them, some places aren't. That's kind of a bummer. If we can kind of land in this place, it's not terrible. I don't even know that it's bad. It's an improvement. Europe still doesn't have their second wave of beta. So it's an improvement. So if the boxes make it out, and I think that's key, right? I mean, yeah, not getting the mat, that's unfortunate, but there are plenty of mats around. Draw a grid, whatever you need to do. Not getting the store kit, that is a bigger bummer, especially if you don't have a store that's aware they can go get the draft kits on the Sorcery store. Tell them to go get the draft kits on the Sorcery store so you can play limited events as soon as those boxes of Arthurian Legends are in your hands. But if the boxes land almost in all those places except for the 2 that we just mentioned, this is better overall than we've seen so far. So, incremental improvement. I hope that that's what we have. I think that's what we have. But we'll see. And maybe things do end up where these small stores don't get their boxes in time because they cut things so close for whatever reason. And if that's the case, that's really, really unfortunate. And I think that's going to really damage the game, especially in the US, where, let's face it, the US has the largest player base right now. And that is something that cannot be afforded by the community, is for that US player base to start to diminish. Because with Arthurian Legends, the most important thing, in my opinion, is growing the player base. More people playing the game, which is why the release of Arthurian Legends was so critical. So hopefully, this is where we're at. Hopefully, all the stores in the US get confirmation of their numbers, and even though it's razor close, those boxes are on their doorstep in time to release them to their customers on October the 4th. That's what I hope. And I guess we'll see. not much longer. Looking forward to it. I will be doing some box openings. I know that's, not my big forte. I do try to talk more about this stuff, but I do like to do a box opening occasionally, and everything that I do is just for me. So, it's just me opening my private collection stuff. And if you don't like those videos, well, don't watch them. But, I do enjoy that. And obviously I mix in other things when I do open my boxes. So that will be coming. Other than that, keep on contesting the realm, and I'll talk to you all later.